Hello, this is the Provoked Prawn, and this is a video tips and tricks on how to use Viper to get the edge on the enemy and win the game. I've done a video previously on how to use Viper's dash mechanic to dash behind enemies, flank them, and reposition generally to confuse the hell out of them. But this is a video to talk to you about some other interesting ideas that I've discovered recently and ways to use her that are really useful. Or ways to use the mechanic before you start dashing that can be very helpful. Now, Viper is generally useful for a number of reasons. You can use her to relocate behind enemies, flank to the side of enemies when you're in the middle of a battle, dash out of danger if you're being shot at, dash towards your friends to catch up with them, dash to catch up with the zone if the circle's shrinking on you. There's loads of different ways to use this ability, and it's a fantastic one. Another thing is to use the skeleton panties that you can unlock in the workshop that allow you to eat food and generate souls. Eat food to generate 40 souls, and you've got enough to use that dash mechanic if you're using the face mask that reduces the overall cost of the abilities, so that's a great thing to do. Another thing here, as you'll see, is you can use it to dash across rivers, so you can get across distance quite easily and get close to enemies that are using cover and think you're away, so they're trying to heal. You can just dash up and take them down. Another thing that you can do is you can use it if there's a global flood. Now, one thing to be aware of is you can't dash when you're in the water, so if you're already swimming you can't use the ability. However, if you dash before you hit the water, you can. Another thing you can do is, obviously the flood is going to carry on rising until it gets to a certain point, so if it looks like you're going to get washed out of somewhere, you can use it to dash to a higher point. So this is one of the cooler abilities that I've found recently, is that dash not only works on the ground, but it also works into the air. So if you look up before you dash, you can dash onto the top of buildings, and then obviously that's beneficial because you then have the height advantage over enemies. This is a great way to get out of the flood, but also to get into a better location, to get a view of enemies, and to get that height advantage, and it works really well as a quick way to get up buildings. Obviously it's not quiet and it's not particularly stealthy, but it's more effective and faster than trying to climb slowly up the edge of a building, so it's useful in that way, and then you can hopefully get the edge and beat enemies. Another thing that I've discovered recently is that you can also use it to dash downwards. So if you're on top of a high building and you don't have the bunny slippers, for example, and you need to get down somewhere, you can use dash to get down to the ground without taking any damage, which is obviously a bonus because then you're not wasting food trying to heal. So you can dash from the top of a very high building to the floor without taking any damage at all. And obviously you can then dash between building roofs as well, from roof to roof, like parkour style, and get close to your friends to be able to save them from danger. Here, my friend's just been shot by a couple of guys out in the woods, and I dashed over to try and save him by taking them out. Unfortunately, it didn't work out too well, but we'll cover it over with a little bit of video editing. And then obviously closing the gap on enemies that are a bit further out too is also useful. But that main one is the verticality, is what I've been called it, of jumping from the ground up onto the top of buildings. It makes a big difference. Another tip that I'd recommend doing is to do a little jump before you dash. This makes you cover a little bit more distance because you're already in the air, and therefore you can put a bit more ground between you and where you're aiming to be. So if you just hop up in the air a little bit and then hit the dash, you'll find that you cover a bit more distance, or at least it feels like you do. And it's obviously useful for getting over obstacles because you're already in a bit of flight as well, so you can certainly get to where you need to be more effectively and therefore not get into as much bother, and it's a great little tool to use. Hope you found this video useful, and be sure to check out Dash if you haven't already, because Viper's ability is something special and a lot of fun to use. Also, be sure to check out the other tips and tricks videos in the playlist, linked to in the description, because there's plenty of goodness for you to enjoy. Thanks for watching, enjoy your pew. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Hope you found this video useful, interesting or hilarious. Be sure to subscribe and check out these other videos, as well as taking a look in the description for links and other information you might find useful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or anything you'd like to see extra about this. and have a great life.